I wanted to show this creative process I had with ChatGPT. This is some creative coding I did collaboratively with ChatGPT and then later Claude AI. And this only took about half an hour. This was inspired by PCB design. I've been doing a lot of PCB design and I liked the aesthetic and I wanted to see if I could animate drawing it and the traces. The traces have certain rules like having 45-degree angles or trying not to overlap each other or not being able to cross their own paths. So I wanted to see if ChatGPT could do this on its own. So this is the final result, and I wanted to show how I got there. It was really easy. So I started by uploading a screenshot of the design I was using, and I said, I'm inspired by this aesthetic of PCB design. Could you help me design a generative canvas on an HTML page that captures this aesthetic? First, paths and pins are drawn randomly on a grid on the canvas. Then traces are drawn using common routing routes. No 90 degrees, spaces between traces, straight and 45-degree angles, connecting components and using vias, weaving above and below other traces in pretty colors. Maybe taking about a minute to complete. So ChatGPT spit out the code, and I tried it. And it explains how it works. And this is the first result. So it's not bad. It's got the colors already. It lays out the pads randomly and then connects them, but they didn't completely follow the instructions. They're at 90-degree angles and they're not animated. So I said I put it all in one HTML file below because before it was in some separate files. Those have 90 degrees. Could they be in 45 degrees? And could you animate them all connecting to each other? So I spit out this HTML and then it spit out stuff back. And this was that result, which is already pretty good. It's got the 45-degree angles. They connect pretty fast. It's not using the full canvas, but and it's kind of a few number of connections, not a ton of connections. So I was like, yes, can we slow it down by at least 2, make the traces thicker, and have even more vias and traces to make a thick and complex tapestry. So this is what it did next. Pretty cool, but now we've got these artifacts for some reason, these little gray dots on the traces. So this was it spitting it out, and then my feedback saying, this is really cool. There's some dots that are appearing on the traces. Can we get rid of those? Could we also make the canvas full screen? Also, there are some traces that overlap on the same path. That would be allowed in multiple layers on a PCB, but could we avoid that aesthetically? So that's the last one. This is the new one. So, AI doesn't always get things right. When it was trying to fix the one thing, it ended up going back to right angles. So it spat this out, and it's not perfect. So it said, the dots are gone, but then they're 90 degrees. What gives? Can we go back to 45 degrees? So this was this version. Did that, but now we've got the artifacts again. So it's kind of like just this back and forth. You're not always going to get perfect results, but you can learn from it and tweak it and keep going. So that version I said, this is beautiful. There's some gray dots appearing. Can you help me remove those? So try it again. And I believe we're here now, which is pretty close to what I wanted. At some point you get to an area of diminishing returns. I tried a couple other methods and it went back to the 90 degrees, and then I switched over to Claude AI, which sometimes does better code, and some things it did better and some things it did worse. This is another version. What version is this? This is 7. So 7, well, first I had, here are some examples of some ones that weren't so great. Like it got confused and started doing zigzags. They're not efficient routes and they're not totally on the dots, and so it kind of lost focus of what we were trying to do. And then 9 was similar, where it's trying to, I asked it to fade stuff out at the end, which it does, but it screws a bunch of other stuff up. It's not the aesthetic I was going for. So I went back to number 7 and then started modifying the code myself, adding more dots and reducing the padding, reducing the dot size until I got the look that I wanted. And so this is the final result. after it finishes, it fades out and does another one. So it's kind of like a screensaver. Anyway, I think it's inspiring. I don't think AI is great for everything, but I do think it's a useful tool, and I like collaborating with it. It's kind of my new hobby.